All right, let's go ahead and work with some temporal data in Altair. It's a little different than working with things in Vegalite, right? We'll be working with them in pandas objects and in Python. So yeah, first the data set I got loaded up here is I downloaded my Strava data. I use Strava to track my bike rides and runs, and I got an extract of it. I think it's a little old, but got the CSV up here, and it has some dates in it, right? So we're gonna go ahead and take a quick look at what's in there. So I've got Altair loaded, I've got pandas loaded. I just uploaded the CSV locally here to the runtime, and let's go with it. All right, so let's get Altair and pandas. We're gonna load the data frame. So let's call it activities, and we'll go pandas.read CSV of activities. Should be able to see it right there. And let's take a look at what we got. Activities.head, and so yeah, let's see what we got here. An ID, date, name, description, the actual file name for the GPS. And I got flat on my very first ride. It looks like if this is ordered. So, oops, not super fun. That doesn't look like it's the first one. Well, let's go and find out. Okay, so let's go ahead and maybe let's start by doing a looking at how many rides I have over time. So let's look at a histogram there. So again, Altair, right? We're just going to do Altair.chart. Up here we have activities, and let's go and do a mark bar. Cool. And for our encodings, right, we're going to be working with the date time. So X, let's set this to the activity date. Activity date. I think there's actually a space in there. Activity date, and then let's do Y as the here. Maybe let's pick the distance. So let's see what we get. All right, so we have too many rows in our data. So just to not waste your time here, let's do it quick. Let's just go ahead and take the, maybe we'll take the end of this file, right? We'll take the last 4,000. And again, this is because it's actually embedding it into the JSON spec, so it doesn't want to blow it up. We could tell Altair to go ahead and stuff it all in there, and it would try. And let's see what we got here. I think the way we did this, right, we're trying to make a bar chart with 4,000 bars. So let's see if my browser explodes here, and it might. Yeah, not going to be happy with that. So maybe just to demonstrate this one, let's just look at 100. Okay, so we've got a mark bar, we've got X and Y, X as the date, and Y as the distance. We've got a number of problems going on here, right? You can see that the distance, right, actually is loaded as a string, and so is the date. So we're gonna have to work with this data a little bit. So to process it, right, let's do this pretty quickly. I think we can pull the dates out. So the first thing we're gonna wanna do is fix the dates. This is a pretty common thing to do in pandas. We'll take activities. We're gonna get the activity date column. And we can use pandas to process it automatically. So let's say pandas.to datetime. Could write our own time parsing function, but I think that it's going to work automatically. So let's tell it to go ahead and infer the format. I think this is a pretty standard format, and let's give it the series object to work with here. So activity date, and let's check on the actual data type we got here. So if I take this, and we can try to access the date attribute, and let's see if that works. Yeah, so we got years out now, and you know, for distance, right, we can do the same thing. Let's go ahead and get a decent, get that converted to an integer. One of the reasons I tell you to never work with a CSV, right? The data types are going to be all over the place. So let's see, distance. Let's do as type float, and student place. As type float. Let's see if that's going to work. Could not convert. Distance has commas in it. Oh, geez, this is a mess. Well, let's just go ahead and look at the count of activities. And let's see. So we got the year. So maybe let's go and look at the year. So if we want to do this with Altair, right, we're going to want to use some of the time unit transforms. So Altair can do any type of time aggregation we want. Here, maybe let's just look at like the counts over year and month. So let's go ahead and do that. So if we do for X, the year month of the activity date, here we might want to make sure to tell it this is a temporal attribute. And on Y, we can just do the count. Let's give this a shot. Year, month. Access path, missing. Oh yeah, we got an extra thing going on in here. Okay, and it looks like it worked. We did it for just the, the first 100. We could do it for the first 1,000 and see the count of activities going on. Cool. We could do any aggregation we want. We could break it down by day, right? If we wanted to override the limit of activities, we could override that on Altair, and it would stuff them into the JSON. The other option is we could turn on the data transformer to save a local JSON. So for now, we'll just work with a subset of the data. And let's go and make a heat map next. So you can see we can use these aggregations on temporal attributes. And so let's go ahead and do that on both X and Y. So here, maybe we'll do the day of week. Maybe it's day of week. And the time of day of the activity date. And to make our heat map, right, we're going to use a mark rect, and then we're going to want to give it a color encoding. So we could just for now give it the count. So let's go ahead and make sure we got the right time unit transforms. So here, right, we can pull out any of these bits. So the day of week, let's do day. And then looks like we want hours on the Y. So here we go. Let's take day and then hours. Let's give this a shot. It looks like it worked, except we've got some. Oh, it looks like it's just a little wide on the X here. Like we got duplicate days coming out. And here's each of the hours. I'm not sure why we're seeing duplicate days. Hours, day. So let's check on this. Day, date. I think that our chart is just a little bit too wide. Let's try squishing it. Properties. Let's set the width a little bit smaller, maybe something like 300. And that's working. We still have more grid lines on. We can actually turn the grid lines off if we want. So I think that would be a helpful option. So let's turn the grid lines off. So if we want to turn the grid lines off, I'm going to go back to Altair. And I think we can set the grid off on the high level config. Grid dash the grid. So let's try doing the grid false. Yep. And here we go. We can turn it off like this. So let's go ahead and do that. And there we go. That's looking a little more reasonable. It might make sense for us just to turn it off on the X, and we could go and do that too if we want, right? We can actually set that on the individual axes. So we can go down and control it at a high. We control it at a high level. We can go down and control it at a low level if we want. All right, this is looking okay. We can also do different types of aggregation. So maybe we want to parse out, we're going to parse out our distance column, right? And but I think we ran into an error. And if we want to take like a mean of a category, maybe let's look at the mean of the time. So let's go ahead and set the elapsed time to do as a float. Let's do as type float. Cool, that's working. So let's go ahead and set it. And we can go ahead and do the aggregation here. So it might be interesting to look at, at what time of the day are the biggest activities happening. So let's look at mean of, I think we're going to do elapsed time. Looks like the biggest activities, maybe some Sundays and some late Friday nights. That's an interesting one. All right. So this is working with dates. I mean, again, if you're moving through this, right, using the API to go and look up all the different customizations we can do, and again, using the different types of marks, right, we can go in and work with the date time. So it's pretty quick to work with this. I think this is the kind of visualization that, if you're working with the dates manually, rather than relying on Altair and Vega Lite to do these aggregations for us, will be a lot of work to go and pre-compute this data and then plot it in something like Matplotlib. So I think we get a lot of power here from this. So yeah, thanks for watching.